Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol or morphine, or idealism. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. A particularly beautiful woman is a source of terror. As a rule, a beautiful woman is a terrible disappointment. The word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health. We are born at a given moment, in a given place, and like vintage years of wine, we have the qualities of the year and of the season in which we are born. None of the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. An understanding heart is everything in a teacher and cannot be esteemed highly enough. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feeling. The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. A dream that is not understood remains a mere occurrence. Understood, it becomes a living experience. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. Man's task is to become conscious of the contents that press upward from the unconscious. As any change must begin somewhere, it is the single individual who will undergo it and carry it through. Show me a sane man, and I will cure him for you. The first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol or morphine or idealism. Every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, then that life was wasted. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It all depends on how we look at things, and not on how they are in themselves. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. A child educated only at school is an uneducated child. Fanaticism consists in redoubling your effort when you have forgotten your aim. The family is one of nature's masterpieces. The great difficulty in education is to get experience out of ideas. Knowledge of what is possible is the beginning of happiness. There is no cure for birth and death save to enjoy the interval. The dreamer can know no truth, not even about his dream, except by waking from it. Habit is stronger than reason. Friendship is almost always the union of a part of one mind with a part of another. People are friends in spots. Skepticism, like chastity, should not be relinquished too readily. To be interested in the changing seasons is a happier state of mind than to be hopelessly in love with spring. The truth is cruel, but it can be loved, and it makes free those who have loved it. Sanity is a madness put to good uses. Advertising is the modern substitute for argument. Its function is to make the worse appear the better. The world is not respectable. It is mortal, tormented, confused, deluded forever. But it is shot through with beauty, with love, with glints of courage and laughter, and in these the spirit blooms. The universe, as far as we can observe it, is a wonderful and immense engine. Its extent, its order, its beauty, its cruelty makes it alike impressive. A man is morally free when, in a condition of perfect composure, he can repeat his deepest conviction. The difficult is that which can be done immediately, the impossible that which takes a little longer. Intolerance is a form of egotism, and to condemn egotism intolerantly is to share it. Life is not a spectacle or a feast, it is a predicament. Nothing is so irrevocable as time lost. We must welcome the future, remembering that soon it will be the past, and we must respect the past, remembering that it was once all that was humanly possible. Love makes us poets, and the approach of death should make us philosophers. Society is like the air, necessary to breathe, but insufficient to live on. The hunger for facile wisdom is the root of all false philosophy. A soul is but the last bubble of a long fermentation in the world. Chaos is a name for any order that produces confusion in our minds. The man who is in love with the universe will experience no bitterness when it does not reciprocate. Progress, far from consisting in change, depends on retentiveness. There is nothing to which men cling more tenaciously than the privileges of class. Graphic design is the paradise of individuality, eccentricity, heresy, abnormality, hobbies, and humors. The highest form of vanity is love of fame. The more rational an idea is, the more certain it is to stand on its own merit, without the help of ostentation or hypocrisy. A nation that forgets its defenses may eventually find itself unable to remember anything else. Our dignity is not in what we do, but in what we understand. Wisdom comes by disillusionment. The earth has music for those who listen. Beauty is a pledge of the possible conformity between the soul and nature. There is no room for the very excellent. They crowd each other out. Each religion, by the help of more or less myth which it takes seriously, proposes some method of fortifying the human soul and enabling it to make its peace with its destiny. Parents lend children their experience and a vicarious memory. Children endow their parents with a vicarious immortality. Philosophy begins in wonder, and at the end, when philosophic thought has done its best, the wonder remains. For a man to be truly himself, he must merge with his social destiny. The need for philosophy arises when our world fails. History is a pack of lies about events that never happened, told by people who weren't there. The saint is a man who never sins by chance. The mind is a machine for making the future. Fashion is something barbarous, for it produces innovation without reason and imitation without benefit. Reason is only a principle of the mind's economy, a habit of discarding error, an estimate of reality.